Right, so for the people that have found me through Hamza's video, I want us to not just be consumers, but for us to be action takers and people who actually create content as well. So what I'm going to do is I'll leave a comment on Hamza's video with my video, and I want you just to post your actual channel and your video below my comment as well. And what we'll do is we can all view each other's stories and subscribe to each other and like each other's content, and we can kind of create a community of like-minded people, and we can all support each other through Hamza's channel. And I think this is a really good opportunity for us not just to use Hamza's channel as knowledge and building kind of a relationship with him, but also use it as a way to take action. And I think it's something he would probably promote as well. So I know it might come across as self-promotion and I'm trying to gain subscribers, but let's see it as an opportunity for all of us to gain some subscribers and actually start taking action towards something. And for me, starting a YouTube channel is something I've procrastinated on in a long time. So I've seen this as an opportunity, not just to share my story, but also get started on that as well. So I'm going to try and not edit this massively, but I just keep fucking up, and I don't obviously want the video to just drag on and me just constantly stuttering. So there will be little bits of edits in here, but I'll try and keep it as unedited as possible. So my FTE, pretty much ever since school, I've been like really awkward. And at the time I didn't know it was social anxiety, but this was probably from the age of, 13, 14. And I struggled to keep eye contact with people, couldn't talk to girls properly. I was just very nervous and shy. And although I was very socially anxious, I still had a lot of friends. And I kind of, all the way through school, acted up as this joker, this funny person, because I was so insecure about actually showing myself. And I'd constantly take the piss out of people and take the piss out of myself. And just so people didn't get to know me on a deep level, and I would just show this surface level person to try and get people to like me. And everything I did and every action I took was to get the acceptance from others. And this constantly fucked me up in school. It led me with a very limiting self-belief. I had no confidence. Obviously, as I said, I couldn't hold eye contact with girls. But I still had friends, and I still had really good friends. So it was weird. I was kind of living these two lives of being when I get home, I'd think, fuck, that was a hard day at school. Just trying to act like someone I'm not. But then also going out and actually having friends and socialising. So it wasn't all bad. I did have some good moments in school, but most of it was just trying to please other people. Was trying to please other people. So then I got to finally the end of year 11, did all my GCSEs. I did just average. I remember I was stoned for half my exams. I think it was the DT exam. I literally smoked a fat joint before it and just went in, and I was nearly on the whitey the whole time. And that was kind of the mindset I was in towards education. So I went to Truro College, which is a college, 30 minutes away from me, 40 minutes away from me. And I went there, and this social anxiety and this kind of belief of I don't fit in anywhere really amplified, and I just couldn't make any friends. I thought I had to act really hard and kind of be this, I can't really explain it, be this person that doesn't need any friends. And so I was kind of hostile to everyone, and I wasn't really myself, which is weird because now I'm the complete opposite. But yeah, so I really struggled making friends in college. That first year, all I did was flunk off all the time. I'd literally get my brother to drive me in, ring him 30 minutes later and just get him to pick me back up because I just didn't want to be there. So that was when I was 16. As I turned 17, I got a job in B&Q, which helped me massively because it forced me out of my comfort zone and forced me around adults, and I had to kind of be on my best behaviour for customers and kind of actually apply myself towards a job. So I remember I joined B&Q, and this is kind of where my social life started turning a little bit and my confidence got a little bit better. I started learning how to actually have conversations with strangers and how to fit in with other groups, and to kind of erode away this barrier of I don't want to be myself. And I had some really good times at B&Q, made some really good friends. It was really good for my confidence. And yeah, so I did that, earned some decent money. It was nice to earn a good wage as well. And then I went back to, I was going to go back to college, but because I literally dropped out with 3 months left of the first year. So I was going to go back to college and do a business course. But I just thought, fuck that, I don't want to go back to college and do all that shit. I don't want to be on 30 minutes on the bus, for 30 minutes there and back. So I went to sixth form at the same school I grew up in, and I actually made some decent friends there again. There was a lot of the people that I was friends with in school, but also there was some new people there and I made some good mates, but I still had this kind of socially anxious nature, and I was constantly still aware of I can't fully be myself, and this is something that has plagued my whole life. But yeah, so I got to sixth form, I studied business, travel and tourism, just a load of bollocks really, but I just kind of seen it as a means to ends because I wanted to go to uni to get out of Cornwall. So I went to sixth form, did a year there, and whilst I was in sixth form I turned 18. And this was a game changer for me, turning 18, because all my mates were older than me. I was the last one to turn 18, and they weren't even in the same year as me, they were like 2-3 years ahead of me. So when they turned 18, I started to wait like 2 or 3 years, which was real frustrating. I used to hate it. But as soon as I turned 18, I started going out drinking, and I got into kind of the wrong crowd of people who were just bashing out drugs every weekend. And this kind of led to me spending the whole next year just kind of flunking my way through sixth form and just going out 3 or 4 times a week. And I got heavily into drug use, so I would be dropping pills every weekend, and this really affects my mental health. And I kind of wish I could go back to my younger self now and tell him to not dabble in drugs, and kind of educate him on what this is going to do to your mental health. Because I was quite fragile in that sense anyway, I think doing all these drugs and doing them unresponsibly really fucked me up and really sent me down a path that wasn't great. But I had some good times as well though, so it wasn't all that negative. You'd have some really good nights, but it was just the days and weeks after a night out where I'd be feeling the effects of the lack of serotonin in my brain because I'd dropped like 3 pills or I'd sniffed a load of coke. And yeah, and I was doing that for pretty much a year whilst I was at sixth form. And then I got to the end of sixth form and I had to decide, did I want to go to uni or did I not? And I thought I'll have a gap year and just kind of figure out what I need to do and where I want to go. So I had this gap year, and I ended up getting a new job working at Morrison's, which is for people who don't live in the UK, it's kind of a food retail place. So I got a job at Morrison's in a supermarket working night shifts, and I remember getting there the first night. So this was probably about March 2018. So I remember getting there the first night and I thought, what the fuck have I come to? Like, I hate this, mate. And I really did not have a good first night shift. And then, yeah, so I didn't enjoy that job, but I kind of held on to it. And as I was there, it got a little bit better. And because I used to work Thursday, Friday, Saturday, night shifts, I couldn't go out on the weekend, which did me a little bit of good because I had a little bit of a break. So 2018 was a really good summer. I couldn't go out on the weekends, but obviously I was working night shifts, which kind of fucked up your sleeping pattern and that, but I kind of had a productive summer and I spent a lot of time out at the beach on my days off and out in the sun, got a really nice tan. And it got to near the end of summer where I had a festival booked and we had a holiday in Malia. And this was kind of because I did actually agree to go to uni in the end, so this was kind of my final send-off with all my Cornwall lads to go and just party and before I went to uni. So first we went on a holiday, which we went to Malia, and I remember going out there, and at this point I'd still not been getting laid that often. I think I've had sex with like 1 girl, and this was a massive thing that used to play on my mind. I used to think I was like incapable of talking to women unless I'd dropped a pill or if I'd had a few drinks. So I went out to Malia, and this kind of, opened my mind to how many women there are outside of Cornwall. But I still didn't manage to pull at all. I was just awful at talking to girls. I remember all we did was drink the whole time, and it was a sick holiday, and it's an experience I hold very fondly now. But my goal, my literally prime goal of going on that holiday was to get laid, and I couldn't even do that. So then we got back from that holiday. Obviously, that's a week of drinking heavy. Like, you'd wake up in the morning, have a Heineken, have about, well, I say one Heineken, you'd have about 8 Heinekens in the morning, go and have a nap, wake up again, and then just start sinking the Heinekens again and just getting on it. Then obviously you'd go out through the night, be out till like 6 a.m, wake up at 10 a.m, and then just start drinking again. So obviously it was good whilst I was out there, but the come down and the hangover after that was brutal. And I remember just thinking, oh, I'm fed up of drinking for a while. But then it got to maybe about a month later, this was the start of August, there's a festival where I live called Boardmasters, and we had that coming up. And I'd been a few times over the years, obviously, but never had the experience of being 18 and having a little bit of drinking behind me and the experience of partying. So I was kind of a little bit timid and shy when I went there. But because I'd been partying for a while now and I kind of got used to the whole experience of going out, I really smashed it this Boardmasters. So we got like a stupid amount of drugs. We barely even left our tent to watch the acts. All we did was just sit in a tent and get on it. And it was just a weird experience. It was a weird Boardmasters. And I say this now, I look back at it, like, what was I doing? But at the time, I did enjoy it. And it was a good time. But all I was doing was just frazzling my brain. So then it got to the end of August, and I'd still been working night shifts in between, and it finally got to the point where I was about to go to uni. So this was just the start of September. So yeah, I remember finishing my last night shift and having 2 weeks off just to get myself settled down and have a few more like experiences with my friends and that before I actually left. So I ended up going to Bristol UE and taking business entrepreneurship. And I remember getting there, and actually the night before I was even at uni, we'd ended up getting on it with my friends, and I was up till like 6 in the morning, and I had to leave at like 8. So I had like 2 hours sleep, slept the whole way in the car, got there, set all my stuff up, and I remember being sat in uni. I turned my PlayStation on and started playing the FIFA, it might have been like the FIFA 20, FIFA 19, I can't remember which one, but I started playing the demo for that. And I remember just having this thought come to myself, it's like, you don't know anyone up here. Like, you're not going to make friends playing PlayStation. So I just turned my PlayStation off and went in the group chat of the accommodation I was staying and just typed in, does anyone want to go and pick up some beer from Sainsbury's, which the shop was down the road. And luckily I had a few people reply, and they went, yeah, meet me down at the bottom of the accommodation. So I went and met them, and luckily I met probably my best mate up in uni, and literally the first time there, and we went and got some beer, came back, and then he was living with 2 other of my best mates that we ended up forming a group. And then there was another guy who I ended up talking to on the chat as well, and he came over. So there's like a group of 5 of us, and we all just bonded really well and had this really good connection. And so we was just first night drinking straight away, we started getting on it. And then we went to the party, to the student union. The next night after, we all went to watch My New Lane at Motion, and it was like crazy time. But in the back of my mind, I'm still carrying on the same patterns that I've been doing for the last 2 years, which is going out partying, not looking after my health, and yeah, I was really aware of I need to be careful here, but I just kind of got caught up in the life of uni. And it was weird because when I got up to uni, it's kind of like all the social anxiety left. And I don't know whether it was the trauma or the like kind of, not trauma, but the beliefs I had about living in Cornwall and my life down here. And as soon as I freed myself and got into a new place around new people, it's kind of like everything just disappeared and I had like a blank slate. So I remember just being very social and talking to everyone and making loads of new friends, and actually for the first time in my life being free to have a conversation with someone without the barrier of anxiety kind of building up. So we got through freshers, and that was like the first week, and the party just carried on. We was just sessioning it the whole time, just getting on it literally 4 times a week, and eventually it started to kind of come into my mind that this lifestyle was really affecting me, and I started getting very depressed, and I started secluding myself a little bit more. And I remember it got to like 4 months in, where I was about to have the Christmas break, where we went on a night out in Motion to a place called Cirque du Soleil, it's kind of like a festival kind of vibe. So we went to Cirque du Soleil, and I remember just having to leave early and just bawling out in tears to my mum on the phone, just thinking, oh, I just feel like shit. I'm just so depressed, anxious. Not so anxious, I was just depressed and down and just felt secluded. So yeah, I got the Megabus home a little bit early, maybe like 2 weeks before we actually broke up. And this is when the depression first started really kicking in, when I got home. And I remember that month from being away from uni was just horrible. I was back working at Morrison's to try and earn some wage, to try and earn a little bit of money so I could support myself up at uni. And I remember just feeling like trapped and really claustrophobic and not fitting in anywhere. And my parents realised as well, they were a little bit worried about me, and they wanted me to come back home for good, because they didn't think uni was doing me any good. And I thought, nah, I'm gonna have to give it a go. I'm gonna try and stick out the first year and just see how I feel after that. So I went back to uni after a month of being in Cornwall. Christmas went past, New Year's went past, and I went back up to uni thinking, right, I'm gonna try and dedicate myself to being a better student and actually improving myself. So I signed up for the gym, and tried to keep myself to a schedule of actually studying. So it got like a couple of weeks in and I was doing really well. I was going to the gym 5 times a week. I was studying. I was actually keeping up with all the practices. I started reading. And this is when I first discovered self-improvement. And it was through actually listening to Joe Rogan's podcast, just getting some of these ideas of ways you can actually transform your life around. So yeah, I got on self-improvement a little bit, but I couldn't sustain it. And eventually all my friends came back from uni, and then we started getting on it again. And I was like, nah, I need to get out of this. I need to get out of this environment. I can't control myself here. Like the environment is controlling me. So I remember I dropped out within 6 months of being at uni. And this was kind of a big moment for me, because as soon as I got back, I went from being a student who was having fun to now someone who has to survive in the actual working world. And I went back on night shifts and I just fucking hated it. I went into like a deep, dark pit of depression and anxiety, and I stayed like that for about a year. And it was a mixture of things. I started an Amazon FBA business as soon as I got back, and that failed. So that kind of reinforced that I'm a failure. Obviously dropping out of uni reinforced that I'm a failure. And my anxiety had come back since being at home. And like to the point now where I couldn't even hold eye contact with people, or I couldn't have a normal conversation with anyone. I kind of felt ashamed of the person I was. And then I got stuck in like a massive depression loop, and this went on for about a year. I just couldn't see a way out of it. And I remember I kind of hit a breaking point where we went on a night out in Cornwall, in Newquay where I live, and I just like burst out crying to 2 of my mates, just saying how much I hate my life. And obviously they were really supportive, and they kind of just talked me through it a little bit, but I was like, look, I just need to sort myself out. So I remember I put myself in therapy and started slowly improving my life. I started implementing some of the self-improvement techniques again. I came off night shifts and went on to days in Morrison's to try and give myself a bit more of a sleeping pattern and make myself feel better that way. But it was kind of little bits of improvement, but I needed a drastic change. And it just wasn't happening, and I just still felt depressed. I still felt anxious. I still felt just like horrible, like chronically unsatisfied with my life situation, and I just hated who I'd become. So then it got to maybe so this is probably the end of 2019 now. I had a year of feeling like that and it was just coming into 2020, and I thought I would pick up the gym again. So I spent the first 3 months of 2020 like smashing out the gym and getting on self-improvement again. So I was meditating, reading, doing all these good things, and I was really starting to see a positive effect. And this is when I kind of figured out that I need to look after myself. So I got to about March, and then all of a sudden lockdown happened, and I was like, fuck, this is bad, because it stopped me from going to the gym, and I didn't have the motivation at the time to work out at home. I didn't even have the equipment or anything. So as soon as lockdown came, I was like, shit, I need something to happen. So it kind of happened at Morrison's at the time. There was a promotion available to be a team leader on home delivery, which I was working on FFPP at the time, which is working in like the chillers and that. So I applied, I got asked to do the job, and I was like, do you know what, I've got nothing else to kind of get me through this lockdown, so I'm gonna just take it whilst I can, and at least it will give me some responsibility and something to work towards. So I took this team leader job, and it was probably, I'd say it's the best thing I've ever done. If anyone's ever struggling in life, or they feel like their life lacks purpose, you need to learn to take on responsibility, and you need to start taking responsibility for yourself and also other people. And so for me, this was a chance to take on the responsibility of running a multi-million-pound department, or not running, but helping run a multi-million-pound department, and kind of learning to converse with different staff and fit in different environments. So yeah, I took the team leader job, and I found it very, very challenging at first, but I was surprised at how well I adapted to it, and in my opinion, I became a very good leader and a very good employee for Morrison's, and I really enjoyed the challenge of something novel and having to challenge myself every day and kind of push myself out of my comfort zone. And through this, I actually eroded a lot of my anxiety and depression just because I had a bit of a challenge. But the thing is, with these sort of jobs, like in retail, or these any like 9 till 5 jobs, they're good at the start, but the novelty kind of wears away. So I've been working as a team leader through the whole year of lockdowns, and eventually it started getting a little bit boring and started getting very tedious. And this is where the unsatisfaction started creeping back in. And I was like, it's not good enough for me just to work in Morrison's. I felt like I was better than that, I had more to offer. And so by that time, luckily, the gyms had just started opening. So I thought, I'll keep this team leader job because it pays me a wage, it's a good contract, and there's still a little bit of responsibility for me. But I'll get myself back into the gym, and I'll start on this self-improvement again. I'll start on the self-improvement grind again. So as soon as the gym's open, I fucking got back in there, and ever since that, I'm jumping forward a little bit. So when I got into the gym, I started on a good workout routine. I started educating myself on diet, and really got into the mindset of someone who wants to build their physique. And if I can do, I'll try and edit the pictures in from where I started to where I am now. But the progress I've made in about a year, because this was the start of 2021, maybe like the start of 2021, maybe a little bit, so like 3 months in from 2021, so maybe like March time, whenever the last lockdown was. And the progress I've made since then has been fucking crazy. Like, I've gone from a really skinny fat frame to actually having decent muscle on me and looking like an actual bloke now, and not one of them like ET motherfuckers. So yeah, it was the best thing I've ever done. And getting into the gym slowly started building my confidence, because I started seeing my physical appearance change. And it wasn't just going to the gym I was doing, I was also implementing meditation and reading, and I was implementing all these self-improvement techniques, and it was all kind of compounded on top of each other. And every little bit of action I was taking was compounding to make a better version of myself. And so it got to maybe like just coming up to summer, and we'd booked a few festivals. I was feeling very good about myself, but I still had this kind of thought-provoking idea that I need to do something with my life as like career-wise, financial-wise. Because whilst everything else was improving in my life, this was the one section that wasn't. So I thought, fuck it, I need to do something. So I signed up for a gym instructor course because I thought, you know what, I'm really interested in the gym and building my physique and nutrition and that. So I thought I'd go down the PT route. And so I signed up for a gym instructor course, which gave me some purpose and it gave me a little bit of a drive. So this started in September, but I still had a couple of months from the summer left. So I smashed the gym out in the summer, built a decent physique, and then got to my gym instructor course, passed that. And this kind of brings me to where I'm at now, where I've just not took any action on becoming a PT. My overall situation has improved massively, but I'm still stuck working in Morrison's. And this is where my FTE moment came up. It was kind of a couple of weeks ago where I had 3 weeks off. I had a 3 weeks holiday, and it was the night before I had to come back where I realised, oh fuck, I don't want to work at Morrison's. And I kind of had this anxiety and this kind of dread of going back to work, thinking my life is just not good enough. And this kind of belief started coming back about I need to do something about my life and my financial situation. Otherwise, I'm just going to be stuck in Morrison's for the rest of my life. So yeah, it got to the night before I was meant to go to work, and I just broke down to my parents, and I thought, do you know what, I can't work in Morrison's anymore. But it's not just as simple as just quitting for me, because I've got a little bit of debt I need to pay off, and I couldn't support myself financially, so I had to still go to work, which I'm doing. I'm still working there now, but in the corner of my mind I've got like kind of an escape plan. And that was my FTE moment where I just thought, fuck me, I do not want to be working in Morrison. So yeah, I've kind of put it into actual actionable steps now, this escape plan, and I kind of want to share with you just what I'm doing to actually escape from Morrison's and how I'm going to implement the ideas into actually actions. So first I need to clear my debt, which I've got £500 left of an overdraft, which will be cleared next month. And then I'm going to try and save up £3,000, which is roughly going to take me 6 months worth of work. And then once I've saved up that £3,000, I'm just going to quit Morrison's and give myself 6 months to 8 months of just working solely on becoming a YouTuber. And I know for a fact, if I give myself dedication and a timetable and actually concentrated work, I can make it successful on YouTube. But I just need the time for that. So what I'm going to do is save up some money to give me to leverage more hours for myself to work on this business. But in the meantime, I'm still going to post YouTube content and try and build an audience to kind of give me a head start. So that story was probably all over the shop. This is my first time really talking to a camera, so I thought I'd kind of give you I'd kind of put myself out of my comfort zone and just give you like a long-winded story. I know I've realised people are probably completely lost where I'm at, and my story might not make sense, but sometimes the best way to take action is just to post a video or just do whatever and kind of take away any of the judgments of yourself and just think, do you know what, I'm a beginner, fuck it, it's going out there. So for anyone watching, if you relate to my story, if you kind of on a similar path, or you want to start a YouTube channel, let's build a community together, let's support each other, let's comment, subscribe, like each other's videos, and let's help each other grow in this business, because I think YouTube now is probably the best opportunity to actually build an audience and make an online income. And not just that, but also to help other people, because a big thing I've learned from my self-improvement journey is my passion and drive to improve myself. I want to share it with other people and I want to help people on their journey. So yeah, it's it's selfish if we don't share the information we've learned through self-improvement. So for anyone who's watching this video, who's actually clicked on it, thank you very much for watching. Sorry for me waffling a lot of shit. I know it might have been quite a fucking difficult video to follow, but share your video, leave it in Hamza's comments, and then post it under my comment as well. And we'll build kind of like a little portfolio of people's FTEs, and we can all subscribe to each other and create a community. So I think it'll be a very good idea.